Good afternoon, class. Good afternoon, Monica. Yeah, welcome to today's daily current affairs on the Hindu newspaper. Let's see what are the articles that are important for today. Center wanted vetting process in picking judges. So vetting in the sense the current transparent or the clean process. So we have seen that there are a lot of speculations on appointment. So the current issue is that the legislature is complaining that the judiciary is having not a transparent but an opaque manner of appointing judges into its higher courts, that may be high courts or into Supreme Courts. So that was an issue where center now wanted a clear detailed procedure on how they will be appointing their own judges. So that is what center has asked for it. Just a moment. So center has asked that we need a clean procedure on what is the step-by-step process that you will follow to elect your or to appoint your own judges. So the union government just a little over a month before the Supreme Court Collegium recommended Advocate Victoria Gauri for Madras High Court judgeship on Jan 17th, 2023. So Miss Victoria Gauri was appointed as an additional judge for Mumbai High Court, which was opposed by center, stating that there are certain kinds of speculations on what process have you elected or on what process have you appointed her as this particular additional judge for Madras High Court. So that was an issue which raked in legislature, where center has told that we need the proper procedure. What is the step-by-step procedure? What is the eligibility criteria that you will be following to appoint a particular judge? But in response to that, Supreme Court has told that it is our own transparent way to elect or to appoint a particular judge. So that is out of the ambient of legislature. That is what Supreme Court opines as of now. But yeah, on that we will get an update. So this news will be again continuing for a while. The compelling need. So what happened here? Had in the top court flagged the compelling need for the debate to include an appropriate mechanism in the memorandum of procedure for assessment of personality. So they need a memorandum of procedure on what are the steps that you will follow on to appoint a particular judge into your system of judiciary. That is what executives or legislature opines for. Okay, so that is about that article. Next. So this is again, yeah, now this is a local news, but here one thing that is important is center accepts that states have a right to decide their own capitals. So for each individual state, they have their own right to have their own capital city. So as of now, Andhra earlier, like just before this particular week or so, Andhra used to say that we will be having 3 working capitals for Andhra Pradesh. So as of now, what this particular statement says is that they have told that it is under the ambient of states to decide whatever the capital they want. So it is under the jurisdiction of state government to decide on their own capital city. Despite being a local news, that is important for all other states as well. So just I wanted to give you a bit gist of out of it. That's all. Next. So small satellite launch vehicle SSLV D2 lift from Sriharikota today. So very frequently, like recently also we have seen lot of improvements in our space technology. As of now, from Shar, from Sriharikota, one SSLV D2 will be lift off. So it will inject 3 satellites. ISRO's, what are the 3 satellites? This launch vehicle. So in launch vehicle you have this particular loads. So what are those loads? Those are satellites. So 3 satellites are being placed into SSLV and being transferred to outer space. So what are those 3 satellites? ISRO's EOS-07, US based Antares Janus 1 and Chennai based space kits Azazis Sat 2 into 450 kilometer orbit. So, in the near Earth, in this particular orbits, it is being in 450 kilometer above from Earth's surface, it will be launched into space. So, SSLV is the launch vehicle and these three are the satellites that are being launched to. Okay. So, Indian ISRO will be undertaking a second development flight of small satellite launch vehicle which will be lift off today. So, it has already been lifted off. It has been commenced at 9:20 today. So, it is being done. You can just go through that particular news later. So, the vehicle is intended to inject ISRO's EOS-7, the US based firm Antares Janus 1 and Chennai based space startup Space Kids Azadi Sat 2. Again the same thing news, these three were being launched into outer space. Okay. So, that is about that article. So, about SSLV that you need to know. What ISRO has told is that the details provided by ISRO is that SSLV caters to the launch of satellites weighing up to 500 kg to low Earth orbit. So, I told you 450 kilometers in the sense that comes under your low Earth orbit. If you have seen the SNT, it will be understood for you what is low Earth orbit, what is middle Earth orbit and different other orbits present, polar satellite, polar orbit, everything you will be able to understand. Fine. So, as of now, SSLVs are used to launch these particular satellites into low Earth orbit, and what ISRO said is that it caters to the launch of satellites up to weighing up to 500 kg. That means combinedly altogether maximum weight that it can hold is 500 kg to low Earth orbits on a launch on demand basis. It provides a low cost access to space, offers low turnaround time and flexibility in accommodating multiple satellites and demands minimal launch infrastructure. So, whenever there is a requirement to launch very few number of satellites, that too to into low Earth orbit, then SSLVs will be used. So, currently for launching of these three vehicles, these three satellites, SSLV has been used. So, that is under news, important for your SNT. So, yeah, another news where India will never abandon the people of Afghanistan, says who? Our National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. So, what does this article say? India reiterated its call for inclusive and representative government in Afghanistan. So, you know that in Afghanistan, Taliban have taken over the government. So, now we are working on with the foreign policies with Afghanistan. Okay. So, as of now, what is the update? He was speaking that 5th regional dialogue on Afghanistan was being held in Moscow. So, there is a 5th dialogue that has been happening between our country and Afghanistan, and it has been launched in Moscow. So, currently Ajit Doval has declared that people of Afghanistan were among the India's foremost priorities. Why? It is one of our bordering countries, and for us to have a different infrastructure other than from Pakistan, we need a proper ties with Afghanistan, and also Afghanistan would be or is currently the hub of certain terrorist groups which are currently residing in Afghanistan, which can be a possible threat to India. So, like your Lashkar-e-Taiba, Daesh, Jaish-e-Mohammed. So, all these are different terror groups currently are suspected to be having their troops in Afghanistan. So, in order to protect our country from these particular threats of terror groups, we need a positive relationship with Afghanistan. So, as of now, what he said, so in the 5th dialogue meeting, we have met with Afghanistan, and those people, their infrastructure or anything that we are doing with our development programs is one of our highest priorities for our foreign policy. So, addressing the delegates, Russian President Vladimir Putin has told that Moscow was in the contact with Taliban rulers in Kabul, adding that large economic projects are underway in Afghanistan that would stabilize the situation in the economy. So, you would see that wherever the terrorist groups or wherever the government is unstable, then the economy of that particular country will be unstable too. So, no country will believe in them. and their economical ways of reforms was also less. Especially you can see the case with Pakistan, where currently it is in the edge to have economic crisis, and now they have opted for loans from IMF, and next in the row is your Afghanistan. So India is ready with Russia to support infrastructural projects in Afghanistan, so it would avoid the case of economic crisis. So he highlighted that the heightened threat of terrorism because of the presence of terror groups like Daesh, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed in Afghanistan-Pakistan region, and sought security cooperation between the states in this particular dialogue. So what was the outcomes of this particular dialogue, or what was the points of discussion? It is the thing of security in Afghanistan-Pakistan region and towards India, so that these terrorist groups are residing in that particular region, so protecting our country from those. So that is what this article is about. So if you have any doubts, you can pose me, you can stop me anywhere, okay. So what happened as part of our budget? One more thing as part of Afghanistan that you need to know is that Ajit Doval's remarks have came days after Union budget have given presentation which are 200 crore for the development and humanitarian needs for the Afghan people. So showcasing that they are also one of our highest priorities. So 200 crores have been allocated for developmental projects for the need of, and also humanitarian purpose needs for who? Afghanistan people. So that you need to know. Rest all nothing is important. Yeah. Next. Review. So Law Ministry. On review we have seen Union Minister Kiren Rijiju. Union government not planning a bill on appointment of judges, Rijiju tells Rajya Sabha. So there is a growing ties, or there is a growing tug of war between the executive legislature and judiciary. Constantly parliament or the central government or center is questioning on judiciary's appointmental procedure, how they are going on with different appointments of judges. Just now we have seen that other news. So what Rijiju has told is that we are currently not planning for a bill on appointment procedure of judges, because we need to work together with the judges or with the judiciary, and we should not be having a tug of war with both. That is what he opines. So what he says, we'll go and see. So the appointment of judges to the High Court, judiciary is the collaborative process, and if the differences crop up between the executive and judiciary, they are mutually reconciled to ensure an appropriate person is appointed. Who says? Your Union Law Minister Rijiju says. Kiren Rijiju has said. In a written reply, he replied in the negative when asked if the government was planning to plan a particular bill on appointmental procedure of judges. So what Kiren Rijiju has opined is that we cannot go with it to have a particular war or any kind of issues with judiciary. It is that the center and judiciary should work in a collaborative manner for a positive outputs. So we are not planning in the near future for any kind of appointment procedure as of now. That is what he opines, and he has given a written reply to a particular person who has asked Rijiju on this. Okay. So again, another thing what he has told is that in a separate reply to a different question asked to the leader by some leader of opposition, he has told that the judges were reiterated by the Supreme Court Collegium. The law minister said that there were 10 such cases. So when a collegium is giving certain kinds of recommendations of judges, center is giving some cases, they are returning back for reconsideration or reiteration if there is any kind of change in appointing this particular person. So what Rijiju has told that we have reiterated, we have given back 10 names to reconsider on this particular names, whether they should be they are really qualified enough to be in that particular position or not. And in such cases, out of 10, the collegium has reiterated its recommendations for appointment of only 3 proposals. That means only for 3 proposals, the Supreme Court has reconsidered its own statement or reiterated its own statement. On the remaining 7 reiterated proposals, the collegium has sought additional inputs from the High Court Collegium. So remaining 7, what it has told, so they will be attending to some other High Court. So we need opinion from that particular High Court to further reiterate or to have the same opinion on appointment of those judges from their respective High Courts. So that is about this article. So this is not required actually. So there is a that data is not required for your answer rating, so I am just keeping it out. So this is one news again. Nowadays, as G20 presidency has come to India, our current international relations is very important for your mains. Not only for mains, for your prelims too. So whatever the news that you are able to see in your Hindu paper, especially when it comes to our ties with topmost countries, with top economies, that poses very important. So here what this particular article says is that US will not sanction India for buying Russia's oil, says who? Senior American official, just a moment, official. So who is she? Karen Donfred, US Assistant Secretary. She says that we will not be issuing any sanctions on India when they are trying to purchase or when they will be purchasing any oil from Russia. Generally, they have come up with, kindly repeat the news about, oh sorry Monica, I haven't seen your comment. Yeah, kindly repeat this news about India and Afghanistan. Where is this? Basically, through this fifth, there is nothing about this article, Monica, just you need to understand that through this article what happened was, Ajit Doval is mentioning that, so there was a fifth, one important thing is that fifth regional dialogue on Afghanistan is going on currently in Moscow, so in Russia, and India is also taking part of that. And what are the member countries? See, it was also conducted by counterparts from Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, China, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, everyone. So currently this particular dialogue is fifth regional dialogue as of now with Afghanistan, and it is currently conducted in Russia. What India has discussed there is that for protecting our country or having mutual security between Afghanistan. So this statement has come as a result of that, where India has, that means basically Ajit Doval, our national security advisor, he has went to that meeting and he opined that Afghanistan, we have allocated certain funds, which is 200 crore budget we have allocated to Afghanistan development and humanitarian purposes. At the same time, they are under priority list. So in return, what we are expecting? We are expecting that the terrorist groups which are residing in Afghanistan would not pose a threat to our country. So that is what we have discussed. Is it clear for you, Monica? Are you able to understand? Nothing more than that in this article. Understood or not? Can you please reply? Clear, great. So nothing more than that. So if you are reading internal security, you will understand that we have a huge threat from Afghanistan's residing terrorist groups. It's not from Afghanistan directly, but the terrorist groups which are residing there. So they are giving residence to terrorist groups from Pakistan, which is actually a threat to not only our national security but also our internal security. Okay. So what does this article say? So I am currently in this article. So Miss Karen Donfred has opined that we will not be sanctioning India on any oil purchase with Russia. So some of the Western countries are being levied that there will be huge sanctions on Russia for any country. Suppose not India, suppose let's say any other country that is having a relation with Russia, a foreign relation with Russia, and it is asking or it is interested with to get their exports. So basically, let me consider any one of the country X. So it is interested to have imports, to get imports from Russia for oil. Okay. So if this country is showing interest to get oil imports into the country, then this particular country will also be given sanctions. So as of now, what she has assured is that we will not be issuing any kind of sanctions on India or China on their own personal relation or their own foreign relation with Russia. So that's what this article says about. Now, why does Russia say, why did US say this? That you need to understand. Now, there is a growing possibility that China would, in the near future or some or the other day, it would be a threat to world countries. Now, being one of the nearest and strongest country or competitor to China, it is necessary for US to have a positive bond or positive foreign policies with India. So, in order to showcase that, US is assuring that we will not be issuing any kind of sanctions if India is opting for oil imports from Russia. So that is what this article says about. So she says that it is we are consequential partners. That means based on the consequences we have come into a particular partnership with them. So out of the week-long visit to India by US Assistant Secretary for Energy Resources, Geoffrey Pyatt, when the response to the war Ukraine will be the agenda, the official said that the India's purchase of Russians Ural's crude oil was the rates below the price cap of $60 set by G7 countries in December that assisted the US twin goals of ensuring that there was a global enough oil in the market and not giving Russia a premium price for its exports. So what happened? The G7 countries have fixed a particular upper limit that beyond this only the prices has to be fixed for Russia's oil exports, due to which what happened, it would cause an issue for Russia or it would pose an issue for Russia on its oil exports. So other countries which are in G7 have strictly obeyed for that, and India is not a part of G7 but it is actively participating in all those meetings. Even the last year there was a meeting, G7 summit has been conducted in which India has been invited as a guest. Okay, so then we spoke there effectively, and we had concerns regarding this Russia and Ukraine war. We were supporting that there should not be any war in global arena. So what US says is that despite India is having a positive relation with Russia, even we have a consequential or sequential relation with India which we don't want to disturb. That is what this article is about. Okay, so just go through that article, nothing is more important than that. So another one data here, Russia, which was earlier the 17th biggest oil supplier to India, has become the highest exporter in a few months. Post Russian-Ukraine war, Russia has become the highest importer or highest exporter to India for crude oil purposes. So that is how India has supported, and we also got gained because of this, because we have obtained for very less cost from Russia compared to other countries. So it now accounts for about 28% of the oil imports from 0.2% before the invasion of Ukraine. So before the invasion of Ukraine, what was our imports? 0.2% of our crude oil imports were from Russia. Now it is 28%, which made Russia as our highest importer country for crude oil. Okay. So yeah, that is about this article. So yesterday I was explaining about, so not only yesterday, since 3 to 4 days I was explaining about that Turkey and Syria has experienced the very worst earthquake which has occurred early mornings, due to which the fatalities, due to which the deaths, number of death count has increased so far, and as of now there are 20,000 deaths polled for today, like within this 3 days span. And NDRF, which is our National Disaster Management, so Rescue Fund NDRF, so our National Disaster Response Force NDRF in NDMA. So what happened? They have sent our troops for rescuing these Turkey and Syria people, and the operation named for sending these people to there is your Operation Dost. Dost. Operation Dost. Dost means friend. So what happened here? NDRF rescues 6-year-old girl in Turkey, which is not important. This is something which is important, which is Our mission is called Operation Dost. Union Home Minister has commended NDRF for the rescue operation and he has tweeted something and that is not required. Operation Dost is the term which is required in this particular article. Okay. So, yeah. Again, the ongoing news. What US opined and what China opined, that we need to see. First of all, again what is the news? China is sending this particular air balloons to different countries' sovereignty. So, initially they have claimed that, China has claimed that, no, that is our civilian surveillance, civilian wise testing air balloon. It does not pose any threat to your own sovereignty and it has been misguided into your territory. So, please send it back. But US has taken it into a very wild way because that is something which has entered into some other country's territory. So, as long as it is affecting our sovereignty, we will not spare it. So, they have shot it down and they have collected the remnants of this particular air balloon. And now they have started testing about it. In this line, US has told that so far in these months or these years, China has been targeting 40 other countries through these air balloons. So, it is not something which has been misguided, but which is wantedly being sent into different countries' sovereignty to surveillance, or this particular air balloon is a spy balloon which is basically used in military purposes to have surveillance on some other countries. That is what US has claimed. Okay. So, US says Chinese military behind vast aerial surveillance program. So, they are currently focusing on 40 countries. I told that in December, Andaman and Nicobar Islands of India have also witnessed this air balloon in our territory. So, in the same lines, it has targeted 40 other countries. Washington says a fleet of Chinese balloons is being used for spying, outfitted with high-tech equipment and capable of collecting communication signals and other sensitive information. So, your communication signals will also be tracked. So, it will be traced. Whatever you are trying to send information from one place to another, that information will also be traced with these spy balloons. So, they say that it is completely a spy balloon and it is being currently focused on 40 other more countries. That is why we have destroyed it. It is affecting our sovereignty. So, they are giving justification for their act. So, that is about this article, and again the same repetition. So, I am not going into it. Okay. So, China declines US call after its balloon was downed. So, now they started protest saying that no, that is completely our civilian. So, you can't question and you cannot destroy our own air balloon without our consent. So, that is what this particular article says. So, US persisted in using the force to attack China's civilian unmanned. See here what China has given the statement. US persisted in using force to attack China's civilian unmanned airship, which seriously violated international practices, set a very bad precedent. In the view of US side's irresponsible and serious wrong practice, which has failed to create a proper atmosphere for the dialogue and exchange between the two militaries, China did not accept the US proposal for a phone call between the two defense chiefs. So, what happened here? China is completely portraying US in the wrong end, and it is telling that it is a US fault where it has acted very irresponsibly. We have been continuously mentioning that it is only civilian unmanned air vehicle, air balloon, basically airship, which you have reacted in adverse way and you have spoiled it, you have blasted it. That is what this article says about it. So, right now the issues between US and China have started, that is for sure. Okay. Next. All these are of local news, so I am just skipping it. If there is anything we will discuss, else we can wind up the class. Apart from this, I did not find much news today. So, yeah. So, one thing is, the thing that you need to understand, China stand in Russia and PDF. IAS Kudi, I don't know your name, fine. These PDFs actually you can download from eHindu. If you are having the PDF with you and whenever I am explaining it, you can highlight all these points. So, there is no provision for giving you PDF, okay. As this is a live class, I can't provide you this PDF to you. So, you can just go through the e-PDF from Hindu, okay, and download it and understand and refer whatever I am mentioning here. That is all I can do from my end. Yeah, okay, fine. So, locating China in Russia-Ukraine war, is China discourse rhetoric being reflected in these actions? How is the Russia-Ukraine affecting China's standing on the global stage? Why has China neutrality has been called as a pro-Russian neutrality? So, you need to understand that whenever there is a UNSC meeting, so they are asking for people who wanted to vote against Russia. So, all the time India and China is using abstaining that particular vote. That means it is not giving any vote and saying that we are standing in a neutral way. So, we are not supporting the war. No ma'am, mere paas nahi hai. You can subscribe for the Hindu paper, that is what I am telling IAS Kudi. So, you can subscribe this particular e-Hindu paper where you can purchase it for a yearly basis, annual basis you can pay, and then you can download it from their website, okay. So, from myself I can't send it to you, I don't think there is such provision where I can share this particular material. So, from e-Hindu paper you can just download it, I guess, okay. So, we are taking in that way only, we are taking it and then we are marking what are the points that is important, which I wanted to discuss, fine. So, here what happened? So, what this particular article says is that India and China, yes, of course they are standing in a neutral way when there is a war on this particular current war of Russia and Ukraine. But what it seems like is that China is pro-Russian neutrality. So, in neutrality also it is taking side of Russian, saying that yes, we will be supporting for each other country's identity. We respect their own sovereignty. So, we are not going to involve. That is what China says, and it is indirectly supporting for Russia. So, that you need to understand. We will go to the gist where you can understand exact details. So, China's formal stance on Russia-Ukraine conflict has been in the lines of all countries deserve respect for their sovereignty and territorial integrity, and that support should be given to all the efforts conducive peacefully resolving the crisis. So, what China says is that we respect each other country's sovereignty. So, everyone have their own fair ways to maintain that particular sovereignty. So, we are not going to involve, we are not going to support for any other thing. Yes, yes Monica, correct. So, Monica is telling that we can find the app of Hindu from Play Store as well, and you can subscribe that particular app. In that particular app, you will not find completely free editorials or free documents. It will be for a trial version, and then later on you have to purchase it. And there are some third party apps where you can find for free of cost also. Even in Telegram channels, I think you can find it. Fine. But we use from a reliable source. We purchased this. We have purchased the e-Hindu paper, and we are explaining it. Okay, fine. So next, however, outside the realm of discourse, China's actions do not seem to reflect the same. So apart from their speech, apart from the way that they have explained or the showcased in near media is completely different from their actions. So recently the Wall Street Journal has exposed China's covert assistance to Russia by accessing Russia's customs data compiled by C4ADS, an American think tank. So what has happened? China is assisting on technology for Russia to have their data being protected or data being compromised from America, that you need to understand. So where it is standing here currently, it is standing in the position that pro-Russian strategy or pro-Russian neutrality. So we are not going to discuss much about this Russia-Ukraine war, other countries stand as of now, but before your exam is nearing, then we will have an analysis on what happened so far, Russia and Ukraine. Okay, because every day there is a news, because it is an ongoing war currently, so you need to go through all these news at once. Okay, so once this is done, it will be easy for you. China's efforts to encourage Russia in a limited and covert manner without raising alarms in the West seems to be intended to keep the war going. So what Russia opines is that it is providing support indirectly or in downways, that means without noticing for the other countries, it is supporting such that the war should be ongoing. So we never know that even they might be supporting for their defense ties also. So for their defense support also, Russia might be giving its support to Russia, who China would be giving its support to Russia, but without knowing or without aggravating the existing Western countries. Okay, so without having their China is providing its support to Russia. So story so far that I will explain, and then we can wind up the session. So as Russia and Ukraine conflict have marches towards the 1 year mark, that means with this particular, it is running towards the 1 year mark, there seem to hardly any signs of de-escalation. That means there is no signs of de-escalation. It is completely increasing every day. So it is ongoing war since a year. Western powers have started providing powerful offensive weapons to Ukraine, including Germany. So they are providing their own tanks. They are doing different operations to them. They are supporting with weaponry, strongful weaponaries, but Russia alone is standing on the other end, and the speculation is that China is also supporting them, especially through technological backup, and Russia has threatened grave consequences in this particular response. Moreover, the Western sanctions on Russia progressively tighten, the country is increasingly become reliant on China. So as the Western countries is providing huge sanctions on Russia's imports and exports, it is completely reliant on China for its income. So now you can understand that there is a growing footprint of China on Russia too, as it is supporting in its war. So basically you need to understand that they are coming into one alliance. And even now we have seen the other article where US secretary was telling, assistant secretary was telling that we will not be issuing any kind of sanctions on India and China because of our oil deals. Why? If it supports or if it is going for any sanctions on India, there might be a possible threat for US such that if there is a worst case and if there is a worst possibility where Russia, India and China gets united, that would be harmful threat to our the global foreign policies. But India is not in such way. India stands neutral in every other situation. It stinks, and staying neutral, staying diplomatic, and also exerting its own opinion strongly. That is what is our combined foreign policies. So we will not be going to such alliance. So we are having a positive alliance with almost all the other countries except our neighboring countries. That you need to understand, because we have age-old ties and age-old wars. So while China has officially speaking in a large neutral language, there has been some instances which come into light of China allegedly assisting Russia in its campaign. So that we have seen technologically it has given support for data backing up, data protection on data analysis of Russia's database or Russia's moves towards Ukraine, okay, which is against USA, which is helping Russia for its continuum of war with Ukraine. Okay, I hope that's clear. So as of now, this is the article. There is other, I don't think there is any other article that I need to discuss. Yes, done. So that's it for today. Yeah, thank you for the session. Good day. I hope you have no other issues. If you have any doubts, you can pose me, else we can wind up the session. Yeah, okay, fine. Good day, thank you.